Greetings, I'm Anthony, one half of the Printy Brothers. Over the years, Sean and I have cultivated a little bit of a collection of miniature terrain and minis. So today I thought I'd take you through some of our collection. Starting over here, we've got some grass tiles. This was one of our first pieces of terrain I think that we made. We got some grass from someone. We got some grass from Woodland Scenics. We really wanted something that was more turf than actual grass so that the miniatures could stand on it really easily and not fall over. And I'm pretty happy with that project. We still use it to this day. Right next to it though, we've got our OG battle mats. These got us through a lot of years. They're battle worn. And then down here in this box, I have one of my earliest 3D printing projects, my castle system. So these are fully modular. You can make towers, walls. It was a good learning experience for me on how to use my 3D printer. I did this on an Ender 3 V2, which is a printer that requires a bit of tinkering. So that's kind of where I cut my teeth on 3D printing, if you will. Over here, we've got a couple shelves. This is where we keep some OG models and some models that we're particularly proud of. We've got Sean's cheese wheels right there. And Vecna. This is my iteration of Vecna, who is the big bad evil guy of my long-running 6-year campaign. Making our way over here, this is where we store all of our miniatures. And some terrain as well, not just miniatures. But we've got this little wheeling cart. On the top here, this is kind of the graveyard area. I think everyone has a graveyard pile of minis that, I don't know, maybe one day you'll get to, probably not. If you ever have a mini who needs some replacement parts or that you just want to put something on their base, you can always run through here and snip some stuff off. Right here, we have all of our monster minis that are a little bit too big to fit in one bin. So we've got a blank space right there so they can all fit in here. Here we have kind of our war game miniatures. So mostly that means Marvel Crisis Protocol and Star Wars Legion. Those are the only two games we're really into. The only one we're really into is Marvel Crisis. So we have a bunch of Crisis models, a bunch of droids, and some troopers. Here we've got some miscellaneous terrain. So a lot of rocks, stuff like that. This is just basic stuff that can be used for every scenario. More terrain in here. This is just random assortment. I've got my modular bridge system, some hot glue lava, which turned out very nicely. Picked up these toy police cars, which work great as terrain for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Taped the wheels because you don't want them rolling around on the battlefield. Here, these are supposedly the monster characters. I say supposedly because I think the monsters and also the hero bins, which is right here, have kind of been mixed and matched a little bit. But that's supposed to be the organization system, monsters and then heroes. And then up here, this is our current bin. So this is supposedly models that we're currently working on. As you can see, it's pretty much packed to the brim. So I'm not sure if that is 100% accurate. But that's the idea, at least. Up here, we've got a couple shelves of different things. This top one has the ships that I've printed. I have my giant pirate ship from Loot Studios that took me forever to 3D print. That one was kind of a massive undertaking. It took me forever to complete it because you have to print it in a bunch of different pieces. My 3D printer is not that big. So each level, there's 3 different levels, has to be printed in, I think, 3 pieces. And then they have to be glued together. And then for the sails, I didn't really like the way they had the sails on the model because you're supposed to 3D print the sail. I didn't really like that. I wanted actual cloth sails, so I made my own out of some random cloth I found at the store. I put some paper clips in there to give them some rigidity. And I used wooden dowels for the different beams. And all the sails are actually removable. I did that for filming purposes. We want to use this ship in our Sundered Isles actual play where we have cinematic miniature shots. So the sails are removable, so it's easy to get shots in there or to move your models around. But I am pretty proud of it. I think it turned out pretty good. You know, there are a lot of seams. I tried to cover up seams the best I could with texture paste, and I think that worked for the most part, but it's not perfect. And then I have my small little rinky dink over here. This is my airship, made in pretty much the same method. I think that one actually looks better than the main boat, because it's smaller, it was easier to paint. Also the seam lines, I think, are a little cleaner on that one, and it was also like modeled in a way where they could fit together without seeing the seam and not making it too visible. So those are my ships. On this one, we've got a few handcrafted buildings. You'll see we also have some 3D printed buildings. This one is Sean's. We made all of them so that you can see the interior, so you can take off the various levels and do play in there. But these are just made out of foam core, the ones that have the paper that can be peeled off just to get to the pure foam, and hot glue, really. A little bit of XPS and certain spots for like bigger bricks and stuff like that, but it's mostly just foam core. So those are our crafted buildings. We have a 3D printed building over here. This one is cool because it is made out of the empty filament spools from a 3D printer. This one has, you can kind of see the shape, one spool and then a second spool up here. This one actually has lights on it too, which I went a little overboard trying to get lights in there. But yeah, that's from a company who does that specifically. They make spool buildings. I have one more down here that's a little tavern. I really like those. I think they turn out pretty well. We use them a lot. And then you have my gelatinous cube. Classic, just a hot glue cube. Works well, models can fit inside it. And of course our genuine D100. Over here, another 3D printing project of mine, I have my dice roller. This is what we use for our Ironsworn, and we're gonna probably use for our Sundered Isles actual play. I printed it in 4 pieces and then glued them all together, but the seams are very difficult to see on this. I'm really proud of how this came out, because I blended all the seams together with texture paste. Texture paste is a godsend for projects like these, because you can make it look dirty and grimy, and it actually adds to it quite a bit, especially like down here at the bottom. I think that looks really cool, so I'm proud of that. Down here we have some more terrain, some crafted and some 3D printed. I have my 3 cages from my cage video. We needed 1 cage, so I decided to make 3 for some reason. 1 of them is crafted, 2 of them are 3D printed. I'll let you guess which is which. I do have a video about this if you want to take a look about 3D printing versus crafting. I have these interesting pieces here. They're like bits of, I don't know, plants. Look like they could like go underwater or something, or they're kind of exotic, so maybe they're in the Underdark. I just printed them with color changing filament. Now, I don't know if I like these. Sean told me he thinks they look good like this, but I was thinking about maybe putting a wash on them or something like that, but I'm unsure, so tell me what you think about these in the comments. Well, look at you enjoying the video halfway through. If you've gotten this far, you must be enjoying it, so you might as well subscribe. Moving a little further down, we've got our spray paint collection, which is quite a little out of hand. Over here, we have the OG tile set that I made, following Black Magic Crafts videos. Just XPS and then cut it, and we have it double-sided wood and stone on one side. I really like these. The only problem is that when you put them together, they're really easily slid around. If you knock the table, you're basically screwed. Which is why I eventually graduated to a magnetic tile system, which we will look at in a second. Down here, we have our cave tile system. So these are a little more freeform than the rigid square edges, and they don't have a grid. We tend to, we've kind of graduated to not playing with a grid for most of our home games these days. We just use little measuring tools that we've created. And that works pretty well. It's basically the exact same. But we actually have a video on how we crafted these, and I'm actually really happy with how these turned out. We use these non-stop. Literally everything that we do, we use these tiles for. Moving on, up here at this top shelf, we've got some stuff that I was a little worried if it got knocked off, it would break really easily, which is why it's really high up, because we do have a cat. So this is my Teras model, which I'm very happy with how it turned out. I went with kind of more of a red color scheme as opposed to just tan, because I wanted to give a little bit of color to it. Really happy with how that one turned out. The only thing is, we're doing a series right now where we print and paint every single monster from the D&D monster manual. So my question is, what will we do when we get to the Teras? But you know what? You're going to have to subscribe so you can find out the answer to that question. It'll be a while before we get to the Teras, but you'll see. This is our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle statue. We're massive Ninja Turtle fans. So when I got a 3D printer, I knew I wanted to make a turtle statue, or turtle something. But this is the statue that I printed. I did each of the 4 turtles individually. They come in like different pieces. So you print an arm, and then you print a leg, and then like the whole torso and the head, and then it all glues together. Sean painted 2 of these. Sean did Leo and Mikey. I did Donnie and Raph, who are my 2 favorites. But Donnie is the best. Now it has been a display piece for a couple years now. Dragon back there, and here we have my Beholder model, which I am very happy with. So I'm pretty happy with how this model turned out. I went with a purple and bluish kind of color scheme, and I did a nice little gloss varnish on each of the eyeballs. Now I was faced with a bit of dilemma, like obviously you want the entire Beholder to be sticky and slimy and disgusting. But I thought if I isolated the gloss varnish into the eyeballs specifically, it would actually bring out the disgustingness a little bit more. And I'm happy with how that turned out. We're getting pretty close to the Beholder in our painting series. So I think Sean's gonna be painting a Beholder next. He's a little bit nervous about it. So we'll see how that goes. You'll have to subscribe if you wanna see that too. Below the Beholder, we have a couple of modern day buildings. The only thing we really use this for is our Marvel Crisis Protocol games. And you can even see on them, we have a lot of like stickers and stuff from various Marvel properties, little Easter eggs and stuff to them. But if we ever do like a modern day game, these could also work perfectly for those. It'd be cool to do a Marvel Crisis video. You'll have to let us know if you're interested in seeing something like that. Here's another one of my early 3D printing projects. Trees. I actually bought these STLs. I think I got them for like 10 bucks online. I'll try to link it in the description. I think it's from Printable Scenery. This was an early project, and I spent quite a lot of time on them because I was still new to 3D printing at that time. And I'm really glad that I did, because we use these for everything. No matter what game you're running, it doesn't even have to be just fantasy. You're gonna need trees at some point. So I think it's a good idea to spend a little bit of extra time on them, knowing that you're gonna be using them for the foreseeable future. Below that, we have my modular tower. This one can be interchanged out, so it could be a wizard's tower, or it could be a windmill. These are my magnetic tiles. We use these for quite a bit. This is actually a specific system that I didn't create it myself, but I came up with the idea of printing the base of the tile and then gluing on some foam on top so you can get more intricate detail as opposed to 3D printing the top. I have a whole video about that you can take a look at. But I'm pretty happy with how those turned out. We use them all the time. I also have this simple little cart right here that we used for our Ironsworn show. Really simple, easy craft. I only did it in a couple of hours. Just made out of foam, some popsicle sticks, some coins that I put in the bottom. I have a video about this if you're interested. This is a great little starting craft. If you've never crafted anything before, this is a great one to start with. Over here, we've got a couple of our different boards and stuff. Grass boards, cave boards. This is like the big board that we put all of the rest of the stuff on. We've got our double-sided circle for the ultimate dungeon terrain. Got grass and got cave. Like to put this on a Lazy Susan so it can be rotated so everyone can take a look. Also have a lava circle. We did a session that was inside of a volcano, so this worked perfectly. And on the back, the complete polar opposite, and by that I mean polar opposite. Snow. Talk about over here maybe? And we're over here now to take a look at these shelves. One thing might look a little out of place here, but I won't tell you what. It's the unfinished building up at the top. Also have my Kraken tentacles here that I made a whole video about. These are almost entirely made out of hot glue. I'm really happy with how they turned out.
Someone in the comments accused you of using more than hot glue. Did you see that?
I did see that. He's right. I have some cardboard tubing, I guess. They're pretty much all hot glue.
Yeah, so that's his response to the allegation.
Over here we have our lightsabers that we built. These are 3D printed. There's a guy on Thingiverse who prints a bunch of modular lightsaber pieces and you put them on a screw so you can create your own lightsaber. So we actually did a video where we did that. Us and 2 of our friends made lightsabers. It was really fun. Way cheaper than going to Disney. Well, that's the tour of our setup. It's pretty unorganized, so hopefully your setup is a little bit cleaner. If you enjoyed this video, you want to see more like it, you want to see us crafting stuff or using these miniatures and terrain in cinematic shots of our actual place, go ahead and subscribe for me. Thanks for watching.